Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Football Amigos show. As always, it's your boy Mide. Excited to have you all back, amigos. We missed you all. Welcome back to Game 22 reactions with the amigos, of course. Amigo Ayo, how's your week been?
It's been great, Midday. Glad to be here with the amigos for another
That
discussion of soccer. Yeah.
that's awesome. That's awesome. And amigo Sam, we see that you have your Never Walk Alone scarf from a Liverpool FC perspective donned on the wall there.
It's about
Which
time we start showing off. What you got? What do you
which
got,
just
Ayo?
says walk alone. I didn't see the never part. Sam
Ooh, I
Sam
like
Sam is
that.
a lonely guy, man. Sam,
All right,
he's a
okay.
lone ranger.
I tried. You know what? You know what? You want me to go? You want me to go fix it?
Oh,
I don't
oh,
want to do
oh.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
Now I see
yeah,
it. Now I
yeah,
see
yeah.
oh.
Oh
That's funny.
man.
Good catch, Ayo. Good catch. Good catch. In terms of that, we'll start with our first game today. For this conversation we're about to have, Wolves versus Arsenal over the weekend. Wolves lost to Arsenal 1-0. Wolves played at home. Very interesting game, very controversial game as well for obvious reasons. It looked to me that the referees have been very quiet over the past 2 weeks, and then this week we're back again talking about referees. I'll give my personal thoughts about the red card I was given to Lewis Skelly, the right back for Arsenal, young kid playing very well. It looked to me, Ayo, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Arsenal won that game, yes, especially against the odds. With 10 men on the field, one man down. That Lewis Kelly foul, personally, I don't think it was a red card. It's a yellow, 100%. It's a yellow, but I don't think it's a red. And the reason I don't think it's a red is because one, look at where that foul happened on the field. It was in Arsenal's attacking third, Wolves' defensive third. It wasn't on the other side of the field where it's even more dangerous. That's one. Two, it wasn't intentional. He was trying to get the ball and he was late. He didn't even argue that he didn't foul. He knew what he did, but then Michael Oliver came and just without even consoling. And I'm not saying that because amigos, Ayo is part of our family. Strictly watching and observing what I saw, I don't think it was a red card. Yellow, 100%, 100% a yellow, but I don't think it's a red card. Amigos, let us know your thoughts and comments. Ayo, we'll start with you. First of all, how do you think Arsenal played in that game? And two, what are your thoughts about that call?
Uh, I'm really proud of Arsenal. Uh, it was a challenging game in terms of just trying to make things work with the squad that we have right now and actually make a go of it, playing every 3 games. And so I think that the team applied themselves with energy, with discipline, and with commitment. You would have been a little bit scared when you see that Odegaard wasn't available to play. Like that scared me. I was like, okay, if Odegaard's not playing, then how do we control this game and dictate how we want it to go? But we managed that, and till the incident, we created the better chances. We created some crosses and some opportunities for Havertz, which he was unable to put away. And it is what it is. Strikers miss goals. I watched the Liverpool game. I see Mo Salah missing goals. I watched the Man City game. I see Havard, Hazard. I keep forgetting his name. I keep wanting to say
Haaland.
Hazard.
Havertz,
Haaland, sorry.
you're close. You're okay.
I was
Holland,
going
yeah.
through the alphabet. I was like, at some point I'll get to his name. Hazard, Hazard. Yeah, but you see him miss goals opportunities all the time, and so I think there has to be a place of wanting more, wanting better from Havertz, but understanding the idea that people just miss chances. It's just a part and parcel of the game. Other than that, the game definitely changed when the call was given by Michael Oliver to give a yellow card, a red card for a blatant offense by Miles Lewis Skelly. And I remember where I was because I was making breakfast for my wife, and I'm at the counter. We have a clear view to the TV where I'm watching this game, and so I see the corner. I see us not do anything with the corner. I see the breakaway. I see the tackle, and I'm like, yeah, he had to do that. Professional foul. So I look down to keep on cutting mushrooms, and I look up again, and then it's like craziness, and everyone's like surrounding the referee. I was like, over a yellow card? Like, what's going on? And then they do a replay. You're like, no. Miles Lewis Skelly, he got sent off. And I didn't know what to do with myself, Midday. I was livid. I was like screaming expletives in the kitchen, being like, this is like crazy. And then I just like calmed down with the idea of like, okay, VAR's going to look at this. They're going to be like, okay, Michael Oliver, you might have reacted a little bit in the moment, overly harshly, and then they would like rescind this, take a yellow card, and keep playing the game. And then they confirm the red card. And then I was like, okay, like make that make sense. And then the entire rest of the half, you see Arsenal having a hard time on the pitch recovering. And so they cede ground. You see the commentators trying to make sense of this challenge. And then it goes into the halftime break. And one of the first things that you hear them say during the halftime show is that this makes absolutely no sense. And that was a consensus across the board, because that was a professional foul if ever I've ever seen this. When someone's on a breakaway and you don't want them to break into your field, you stop them from going, you get your yellow card because you impeded, what's it called, progression of the play. Kind of a cynical foul, really, and then you move on. And then he gave a red card. And so I'm looking at this. I know that the Liverpool game, how that's gone. And I'm like, okay, we're in trouble. What are we going to do? And the boys responded. They take Nwaneri off, who had a great game, if not spectacular, and they bring on Calafiori, and we play with a 5 at the back in the 5-3-1 formation, and we somehow make it look like we have more men on the pitch than the Wolverhampton team, who, from my perspective, are destined for relegation this season, the way they played. And we kept trying, and we made the chances count with Calafiori's goal. I don't want to speak too much about the decision. I think there have been some decisions for which that scenario going on negates the purpose of VAR. So the entire purpose of VAR, like outside of just checking if it's offside, checking if that was the last player or like there was contact during a penalty, is just helping smooth out referee decisions to make them more balanced, fair, and reasonable by giving them the benefit of a second glance of a situation, common nerves. And you can see that the entire time, all they do for the most part is confirm the referee's bias on the pitch. And so if you're going to confirm the referee's bias on the pitch, what is your purpose outside of offsides? Because really we should just get the Champions League get the semi-automated offside thing and then just be done with it, if that's going to be the case. And so I would have been way more angry if we didn't win the game. We won the game, so I'm perfectly okay to let that go, Midday. But I think it's not a good look for the Premier League. You spend all this money to go support a team. You spend all this money as a club to buy your players. You spend all this money on training, on diet, on physiotherapy, on tactics, on coaches, to make sure that you give yourself the best chance of winning this game, because you expect it to be played and won on the pitch. And then you have this third party that insert themselves into a place in a way that makes no sense. And there is no, from my perspective, it doesn't look like there's an effort from PGMOL to smoothing out the curve. Because no one is saying that, okay, don't make this call or don't make that call. But if that's going to be your precedent, now you need to be consistent. There was a second yellow card offense, which was way worse in the same game by the Wolves player, that he ultimately got a second yellow card, and he got sent off. But the idea that he doesn't get a red card for that, based on how the precedent that's been set in the game, is worrying. Earlier in the game, that same player kicks the ball away to stop a start of a play, something that Arsenal have received second yellows twice. And one of them by the same referee, and we don't get it. He doesn't get called because he should have been sent off, in my perspective, 30 minutes earlier. And that kind of inconsistency being if not suppressed but augmented in the era of VAR, I think is unpalatable and should not be a place in what is considered the best league in the world. Other than that, proud of my boys. They kept fighting, no excuses, and they won the game. So good on Arsenal. We have very difficult games to play afterwards, and I don't know how we're going to do it because it seems like every time we play, one more person is getting injured, and it's getting harder and harder. But I'm proud of how they did, but also the Premier League needs to do better. Thanks, Mide.
So, I mean, that was wonderful, Ayo. Like, true, that was truly from the heart, amigos. That's why we do this, right? It's true opinions straight from the heart, no bias, full transparency. Before we move on, Sam, based on some of the things we've observed about referees, do you think the PGMOL should hire coaches outside of the country to coach Premier League games, or do you think they need to have more consistent decisions across the board and keep the current referees they have today?
I think a change of personnel or bringing folks from other location would not really change it. Because here's the thing, we're all human, right? And it's all subjective. But the reason why we have a technology is for us to minimize the subjectivity and just the diciness. I think what really worries me is the fact that we have folks in the screen room, if I may put it that way, and they look at these videos, and it seems like some of these calls are not getting revisited. So if you bring people from wherever, you know, if you don't train, if you don't put standard or reinforce standards, I think we'll have the same problems. You know, there's some calls that you'll be like, yeah, you should go check that because even me that I'm watching it from home, I really can't get it right without them replaying it like 3, 4 times, seeing different angles. So it seems like some referees would just go check, some would not check, or they would check one time. Some I can't remember the game. I think it was a Premier League game. Maybe I think it was against Tottenham like 2 or 3 games ago now. The referee literally just ran to the screen and just came back. It didn't really look. So
Mm.
I don't think bringing people would change that from different places. I think it's just they just need to be follow the standard. That's just it. If you're in the screen room, if you have to call the referee back in here, you know, maybe say tell the referee the reason why you're bringing him back if he doesn't see it. So we say, hey, I think that's an offside, and the referee shows up, look at it, just take a glance, and it goes back. He can say, this is an offside based on this and this. Kind of help him make that help not help him make that decision. Help him see what you guys are seeing. Because for them to say, hey, come check this out, it tells me that 2 out of the 3 people in the screen are saying, yeah, we don't get this, there's a little division. So help the referee see the point. But sometimes you don't hear them talk that much. You don't well, we can't hear them talk. You can tell that the referee just goes over there, look and go. There's really no conversation about why we stop you to come take a look again. So to answer your question, now it's just more training, more assertiveness when it comes to the standard.
And midday, like there's no reason why the referee has to ultimately agree with the review. He can go to a review and they can explain his situation, and he still stays with his conclusion. I watched a game in the Bundesliga where there was a penalty shout, and the VAR team thought that there was not sufficient contact, and they bring him to the screen. The referee looks at it, and he's like, "No, my earlier assessment was correct. I saw this, and I believe that this is sufficient contact." And then the penalty stood. And I'm okay with the decision not necessarily going our way, but like every time the referee goes to the screen, he changes his decision. You already know that automatically, no matter what. I'm yet to see a game in the Premier League where the referee goes to the screen and doesn't change his decision. Like just because
Well,
they show you some
I've
I've
seen
seen a
couple.
couple. I've seen a
this
couple.
this this in
This
the
this
Premier
this
League.
this season, yes, yes. There's been like maybe
Oh,
4 or 5. Yes, yes. One of them will have been ours. Like it impacted us negatively. I can't remember. Maybe it was. I think it was Michael Oliver actually.
oh. Well, I guess he's a very like strong-headed person, but I guess maybe I've not seen all the games, and you can't see what how many games have they played so far. But my feeling is it's not working in a structured, collaborative manner. That I feel that if you make a mistake, they should be able to talk you out of it, or at least make a decision and you respond. It just feels like a club where they're high ranking members. So Michael Oliver is on top, and what Michael Oliver says goes. And like other lower level like referees, they can be challenged. And so for me personally, him specifically, I don't think he's qualified. But I really do think they can beef up their systems a little bit. I agree with Sam. Mhm.
No, I agree with you all as well too. Amigos, like, share, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts about referees in the Premier League and VAR. We would love to read those. But I think the key word here is consistency. If they were consistent across the board, I think there will be less referees for us to even know the name of the referee. We never knew referee names in the past, but for us to even know the name now, that should be a sign that there's too much activity going on around them, being taken away from the game itself and for the love of the game. You wonder why the second division of the English league don't use VAR. The Championship League, they don't use VAR, and they decided not to because they're a whole different entity under FA, but they make their own rules for their own leagues, and they decided not to, which is absolutely fine. I think FIFA has this rule where it's not mandatory for you to use VAR. Your governing body for that club has to be in agreement with all of the clubs to do that. So it will be an interesting conversation throughout the season into the summer as well. But let us know your thoughts, amigos. We move on to Liverpool. Liverpool won Ipswich 4-1. It was a game where Liverpool had way too many chances and couldn't score. They did score four, which was impressive, but of course, Ipswich looked like a team that are struggling. They've bought certain players over the past 2 weeks that to beef up the team, but they're still looking like a team that's lacking quality. And against the top four, top six, it will be a struggle for them. Now, outside of that, they can pull punches. Sam, we'll come to you. How did Liverpool perform in that game, regardless of them winning 4-1?
In terms of performance, impressed. I'm impressed, but at the same time, I wasn't really surprised to be honest. I didn't see us not winning that game, despite coming off of a victory in the Champions League. But I want to jump back to the little piece about Ipswich. I think they're not so bad of a team, especially just getting promoted to the Premier League. They started pretty well. They started the season pretty well. They're just kind of tanking little by little now. But I really hope they would beef things up. But they didn't really make it hard for us. Uh, I think shout out to players like Cody Gakpo and just the midfield in general. I think Gakpo had a really rough game, the last two games. So it's good I stepped up. I was really hoping that Nunes would get a chance. I know all of a sudden I'm a big fan of Nunes now, but I was really hoping that he would get a chance in that game and probably bring a couple more younger boys in there, just because of you know it's against Ipswich and they're really not doing well right now. But it's okay that we put in our best team, but I always worry about fatigue. So big credit again to Gakpo. Got two goals in the game and one assist as well. And like you mentioned, we lost a lot of chances. What worries me for Liverpool is the last goal that we conceded. Kind of the same thing in Champions League as well. Uh, we were 1-0 up, and somehow we let them back into the game. The game that we were on top of them. We finally won the game, but I really don't like all one of those. I don't like those games. The opponent comes back and score 1-0, or get one goal against us, especially when we're doing everything right. It's just one of those little time that you slack off, you drop off. I don't like that at all personally, especially when you play your best team, your best 11. It should not be happening. We need to find a way to minimize that and decrease any hope that other teams might have in catching up. So, but overall, impressed with the team. I look forward to a couple more. I look forward to Champions League. I look forward to the next game, which is going to be uh, a little scary because of how the team is doing, which is Bournemouth. So we'll talk about them when the time comes. But that's my thoughts. I really think Liverpool's got their game going.
By the way, side note, amigos, next week, Champions League and Europa League is going to be crazy. That's going to be a crazy week because everyone is playing at the same time, and the table from a Champions League perspective will literally be changing every minute based on how teams are performing. So we can't wait for next week. So excited, especially for our teams. Sam, question for you. Saboslai is a player that I've been watching a lot lately, and from a coaching standpoint, I personally think he's one of your best players, but no one talks about him. That game he played against Ipswich, he was your best player on the field. Some might argue against that, and that's okay. But when you have a player that not only knits the entire midfield from between defense and attack, but still has the engine to track back and help defend and also create and score goals. A lot is not said about Saboslai, and I think he needs to be given more credit. Sam, Ayo, your
For
thoughts on
sure.
that?
Yeah, for sure, no doubt about that. When you say people are not talking about him, that includes me as well. If you look at what I just said, in my note that I had earlier today, I had him at the top, but I don't have my notes. But yes, big credit to him for how he runs. Is It doesn't look like he runs, but he runs a lot, and his shot is very powerful. Like you said, he's a midfield engine. Yeah, I think it needs more flowers for sure.
Sam, Ayo, from a statistical standpoint, do you think he's such a tactical player that we can consider him a game changer?
I don't know about game changer, but definitely very important to how Liverpool play. I wouldn't say so much as his necessity. What he is necessary or he's very important when you go back when you're defending, even when you're building up. Where I really start to see his brilliance is in his movement in that final third. How he's either creating space for himself to receive the ball or creating space for others to receive the ball in advantageous positions. And his final action, if that's a final pass or a final placement and a finishing of the ball, he is very strong. His game intelligence in how he uses his physicality, how he uses his touch, how he uses his vision to just open up team defenses, and that for that critical action to happen is second to none in that squad. Even Mo Salah doesn't create that much chaos or that much opportunity in the box. I like him. I think he's an intelligent player. I really do think Gravenberch is actually a much more important person in a team, bar because Liverpool play in a style that makes them mightily susceptible to a transition. And Gravenberch is a big part of why that's not backfiring spectacularly. Like if he wasn't playing the way he was this season, I think Liverpool will be in a completely different place. Soboslai, even with Mo Salah playing the way he is. So, but in terms of his brilliance, I love watching him play. I love to just watch his intelligence. I just love to see his game in motion. The way he moves the ball and he runs is a visual treat for anybody who just loves football.
Awesome. Speaking about loving football, it seems like Manchester United, we are slowly loving football again from a results standpoint, not from a performance standpoint. And I only say that, and I see Ayo's reaction.
So
Go
next week
ahead.
we'll hear a different story.
Hey, that's where we are, Ayo. That's where we are. Speaking about that, United did win against Fulham away. They played away against Fulham at Craven Cottage, and it was a lucky goal. Martinez had a shot, one of the three shots we only had in the entire game, and it deflected off the midfielder's leg and bounced over the goalkeeper and went in. It was a lucky goal. The goal that was disallowed, yes, it was offside, but the way that goal was created made me a little happy that that team can actually create that goal the way they did. It was a very creative goal. It was 1-2 pass with Kobe Mano and Ahmad and also Xerxes. It was a very well crafted goal, which made me like Amorim in the sense that to me, Bruno is performing better for the team when he plays alongside Zugate, and moving Maynard to the 10 on the left actually made sense. I think this will continue. It depends on if Garnacho truly leaves the club. I definitely don't think the coach wants him to leave, nor do I. But I think it's going to happen just because we need the money, unfortunately. Bad management from a Ineos and Glazer perspective. That being said, it'll be interesting to see if we buy anyone in, and if we don't, give Menu a chance there in that left side of the 10. It was a boring game, amigos. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a boring game. It really was. And I had an interesting conversation with Ayo, which I'd love to hear your thoughts again, Ayo. Are we now looking at a United team that they now know their starting lineup because over the past 5 games we haven't really changed starting lineups as much except for 2 to 3 players. Is it a fact of the coaching now showing up, hence the improved performances, or is it still somewhat of individual brilliance that we're trying to move away from based on the gap in quality that we have in the team?
Mide,
I
the more I watch Man United, the less I'm sure about Amarim. I'm less sure today than I was the last game I watched for them. I'm less sure because when you watch the game and I see that 1-0, and I think for the most part, Fulham were better. For the most part, they pulled the team apart. They created spaces in very dangerous areas. They didn't know how to finish it. And if they did that, I think we would have been talking about a much more different game. I think Amorim's setup creates too much space in the midfield, and it allows for players to be able to run at Man United's defense. This will work for some teams that don't have that cutting edge, but for teams that do, I think this would be a very very problematic way to play. I saw this game and I remember the Southampton game that Man United still won 3-1, but I was like Southampton should not be running riot in this way. Fulham is a team I would put on par with Man United right now, and I was like their ball progression through your lines in how they approach with Iwobi's movement, approach your box. I was like that should not be happening if this model was going to work in the Premier League. I was watching this game and I was worried because yes, some teams are tired. Yes, some teams are not on their day. But a team on their day that breaks through your lines this easily, breaks through your front press and approaches your defense, they are sure to put away the chances that they're creating. They are creating a lot of advantageous positions that I think a team of Man United's caliber or a team of that is being well coached should not be conceded. So I'm reaching a part where it's like I'm a little bit worried that his game model might not be suitable for the Premier League, and if it's going to be suitable, he really has to change that back three. That back three, more than anything, has to change significantly because you want players that can step into the midfield and just be as effective as a holding midfielder would be, as a CM would be. And those are players with a back three that have technical ability because as much as I like Lisandro Martinez, when he steps up, he doesn't quite have that quality. Maguire sometimes is okay, but sometimes I see his limitations. And Lenny Yoro and the Ligt, I don't see that from them at the moment. And so the more I watch, I've gone from a place of watching them and thinking, oh, things are happening, and I'm more worried that some of these results are flattering Man United in a sense that, and don't get me wrong, the character on show, the entire game, phenomenal. The application on show for the entire game, phenomenal. The being up to compete for every ball, for every header, to attack every cross, to fight for every duel, phenomenal. In terms of the mentality and the engagement of the Man United players, I'm very, very impressed. But when it comes to the tactical setup that Amorim is going for, I'm not convinced. And every game I see, I'm less and less convinced. I don't know how you feel about that midday, but I was watching this game and I started to question that personally.
Hmm. Looks like there are questions. Sam, your final thoughts. Do you think this system that Amorim is bringing, of course, looking at Crystal Palace, and do you think this set of players are suited for this system, or do you think Amorim literally has to overhaul this team to bring in his own players to play that system?
I don't think an overall is needed, but definitely the players that y'all have now, they're not suitable for what he's trying to do. Um, you have to at some point understand that everything you want to play in football, every gameplay you have in football, falls back on your personnel. It's not just about the 4-4-3, 3-4-3, like I mentioned. If Martinez step in away from his defensive position, the quality start dropping. You know, so you always have to find the right player that will play what you want to play. Think about the days of when Liverpool was on fire, when you have the Mane, Salah, Firmino. The whole system worked well because everybody understood their role. Now, understanding is different from playing it so well. Firmino being the number nine was okay, dropping off, dropping back, drawing players away so that the other guys can do their, things well. So you have to always understand that you need the players that would understand and not only understand that will execute well. So some level of change has to come in if you want to keep playing that style. And like Ayo said, I agree with Ayo. I'm questioning Amaran because we are over the honeymoon phase now. We are at the point of this is what you're gonna get if something doesn't change, you know. And that thing would have to be players most like for sure, in my own opinion. Some of these players have to go, or some of them have to come in as substitution, or maybe change formation. Like I've been hoping that it would lean towards. So
Great thoughts, guys. Amigos,
Did,
like, share, and
did,
subscribe. Let
did
us know
it,
your comments on those. Yeah, you go ahead.
sorry, correct me. Wasn't that goal Man United's first shot on target?
I think it was the second.
Second shot on target? Are you sure? I think it was their first.
Yes. The first one was Fernandez shot that went out on the left side. The second one was the goal. That was how bad it
Okay.
was. It was just three of
Okay.
them. That was how
Yeah,
bad
I
it
was.
was. The third one was Ahmad's goal that
So
was disallowed. It was only three.
yeah, I was. No, sorry.
Yeah, that's how
Because
bad it was. That's how bad it was.
because on one hand, I was both
Yes.
enjoying the game, like I was enjoying the fight. I really was enjoying the fight that the players put up. So the young kid in the midfield, coming on, clearing
Collier,
off the
yeah.
line. I enjoyed the fight, but at the same time, I was getting concerned, and I'm having a hard time marrying those two things. But sorry, carry on. I thought that was your only shot on target, but carry on. Yeah.
So just looking at the statistics here, there were four shots.
Mm-hmm.
Only one was on target, and I assume that's going to be the goal.
Mm-hmm.
So 4-1, that's
Okay.
not good. And Fulham had
There we go.
nine
There
to
we
three,
go.
so that's so something kind of almost. I almost want to start saying that some players that would have done well under Amaran over Tenag. I'm starting to think
Please do. We would
I'm
love to
starting to
hear
think
that.
Scott McTominay is the guy that you need when
Mm.
it comes to these guys' game style. Giving you some parallel shots. Hey, what do you think, Ayo? I see.
So Scott McTominay was a fantastic player if you know what you're doing with him. And Napoli is showing that every moment right now. He's a fantastic player. Driven, he can cover ground, He can arrive with power and intent. And if you're looking for that last player to fall into line to score that goal, like he in this kind of open game where directness actually plays a part in scoring goals and creating opportunities, I actually think he would succeed. I think you're very, very right. But I personally thought he was succeeding with Ten Hag too. I thought that he was
Absolutely.
selling him was actually a really, really bad call because he's not a sexy player, and so because he's not sexy, he's not so silky like Mino, for example. It goes against him, but he was a highly, highly effective player, and that can never be discarded when you're building your team.
So in Amram's system, would you have played him as a 6 or as a 10 on either side?
He cannot be a 10. I mean, mm,
It's funny because
That's the
I'll put him at
question.
substitution sometimes because he was doing a lot of substitution rotation on that 10 before he left. If you
yeah.
put him in 10 for substitution on 50, 55 minutes, that guy will change your game because he
I
has
was
the
thinking,
ability. Go ahead, Ayo.
I was like, I think there's so many positions he can take. I think he can take Fernandez's position from deep. I think he can take Garnacho's position, and I actually think he might be able to take your number nine's position too.
He was a striker in the
Yeah.
academy before he became a
It's like I mentioned,
midfielder.
I thought about it. I was like, okay, you lose his technicality, but I don't think you guys are playing with that intricacy anyway. It's like when Mino came in and he had a really good combinations with Diallo, but other than that, like it was pretty direct. I was like, I think McTominay can play that game, and he'll score goals while he's doing that too. I don't know. Good catch,
Yeah,
Sam. Yeah.
that's the no, I agree. That's why it's important to have players, especially personnel, for a specific system. When a team doesn't have the right personnel for a system, it's not going to work. But when you do, you can chop and change. It would be interesting to see not just this transfer window, but in the summer. We're trying to see how Man United looks in August, and that will be a telling tale how long Amram will stay in this role for sure. Amigos, like, share, and subscribe. Of course, let us know your thoughts and comments. Before you go, we have one more amazing thing for you. Our trivia is back again, as always. Sam, what question do you have for Ayo and I
I can see
today?
how you're stretching. Don't worry.
I've
It's
been
you
I've
know,
been studying Sam this entire week. Been going to the library.
we got it on the screen now. Now, which player holds the record for the most goals scored in a single Premier League season? Option number one, Alan Shearer, Andy Cole, Mohamed Salah, Erling Haaland.
I'm gonna go Erland.
Ooh. Me too. I was thinking about that
Yeah, I was gonna
too.
go Shearer initially,
And
but
I
I think
think
Henry even beat Shearer. But
mm,
no, Erling Haaland. Yeah.
I'll go with Haaland as well. And I think he did it last season.
If you guys went for Mo Salah, who is currently the leader of the Premier League table and the goal scoring right now, you guys would have been wrong. But you guys went for Erling Haaland. You guys are absolutely correct. And that happened. He had 38 goals in the season of 2022/2023.
2023.
Prior to
Yeah.
that, it was Mo Salah who had 32 in the season of 2017 and 2018. So it's incredible to see these two machines still going right now, and they are back to back behind each other right now. Hopefully, Mo Salah wins it, but yeah, good job, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Amigos, of course, like, share, and subscribe. If you have any ideas of any trivia questions, please send it our way. We'd love to read those out and hopefully answer those questions as well too. Thank you all so much for your time. We will see you all in the next content. As always, stay positive. Talk to you all soon.
Adios, amigo.